Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Appreciate all of you for being with us. Continuing on now with Connor and Austin Pay. And Austin, obviously, this is a big week in the college football realm here locally with BYU and Utah squaring off. I know that you play at the high school level and you have a lot of high school rivalries. I know that you grew up with BYU Utah. What do you understand about this rivalry and how excited are you to play in it eventually down the line?
So obviously, I'm very excited to play in that rivalry game. I think, especially with my dad formerly playing at BYU growing up, there's kind of always been that inner hatred for Utah, and it probably during the recruiting process, I mean, it went away a little bit, but now that I'm committed to BYU, I can kind of fully embrace that again. So I'll be super excited to play in that game.
Well, I want your insight on this too, Connor. Is all of us played high school football in this chat, and you have those rivalries in high school, and they can get a little overblown at times. The Orem Mountain View rivalry that I played in, it got pretty nasty for a while there. But the fun part is those extend to the college realm. And you mentioned the fact, Austin, that there's a bit of a sports hate element to this. You're happy to embrace it. But I guess from your perspective, Connor, now that you've been a veteran of playing college football as long as you haven't played Utah every year, but you just have that same fire when you go up against the Utes.
Yeah, I think so. I think more in the sense of the way it extends from high schools. There's so many guys on the team up north that I played either with or against in high school. And so I think that adds, a different level of, of intensity to the game because everybody knows you always play harder against your friends. And there's always a different, desire to just, you want to win so badly. And, so it breaks my heart that I'm not going to be able to play in this game. I did everything I could to try to, get back for it. And, just 5 weeks was a little too fast for a break, unfortunately. But, I think that's what the rivalry is all about. And I think, honestly, the rivalry isn't quite what it was when they were both members of the Mountain West Conference, and I think in years to come, we're going to see, the Holy War get really big again, because I think down the line, it's going to be a game that has a lot of, conference championship implications and things like that. And I think that's going to, get the rivalry going again. Because like I kind of talked about last week, the most toxic place for the rivalry is on Twitter, and it's not obviously as players, we have a deep desire to beat them, and we have a, kind of an ingrained dislike and kind of hatred for them. But, it's far less toxic between the players. It doesn't really extend farther than our competitive natures. And so, but I think we're going to see the rivalry come back to what it once was now that we're in the same conference again.
Now, Austin, I want to ask you about that because you're going to be playing in an era when you get to BYU. Because as I understand it, you can answer this question first. You're planning on going on a mission before you go to BYU. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so you're 2-3 years out before you ultimately enroll at BYU. But I'm with Connor that now that they're back in the same conference and now that it has actual implications on a conference race and the like, it's going to reignite what was a really, really strong rivalry. And it's always been a strong rivalry, even during the independent era for BYU. But how excited are you to know that this game, every single year you're at BYU, is going to have major implications?
I'm so excited. That's a game every year that I think now is going to be marked on the calendar for us. And obviously, growing up, I would always have little kind of bets with my friends on who's going to win, or we would fight over it. So I'm super excited to play in this game.
Now, obviously, there's that connection between the players. I know that you're part of the OFA Academy, as I understand it, and you're working out with guys from all over the state. And I would guarantee that there's probably some of those guys who are either Utah guys who are just fans of Utah growing up and also maybe be committed to Utah. And talking what Connor's talking about, the connection you have with those guys extends itself to this game. And I think it really does bring the best out of everybody when you finally get together and play.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Connor, you've talked about the fact that you look forward to this and you tried everything you could to get back on the field. I've had some people ask me, and I'll get to one of the early questions here that we had, and I've got like 3 or 4 people who asked this. They're asking, okay, when Connor is working his way back from injury, and I know that you were essentially an intern / GA for the last little bit, but now as you start to get ramped back up to play, what's your role this week going to be in that game?
It'll probably be the same as what
Okay.
it's been in the last few weeks because obviously I'm not in a position yet to where I can play. And so I think the role is going to be, very similar, and trying to diagnose the defense and figure out how they're attacking us so we can make some high quality adjustments. And obviously this will be my last week doing that as I transition into practicing again next week and preparing to play against Kansas.
Now, I'll get lob one more at you, Austin, with regards to this rivalry. The Big 12, obviously, it's shown itself to be a very competitive league. We just saw this past week. We saw Texas Tech notch a major upset of Iowa State, leaving BYU as the lone unbeaten. Just overall, with regards to the conference, how excited are you to be playing at the Power 4 level and in a league that's as wild as the Big 12 is?
Well, first, I would think it's always a blessing to be able to play at the Power 4 level. That's very rare for a lot of high school athletes. And then obviously in the Big 12, especially seeing it this year, every year it's going to be a very intense race to try to get to the college football playoff. So that's always going to be very exciting.
I guess I want to lob one more at you with regards to that college football playoff race, because BYU right now, as it stands, and I know that there's a long way to go here. There's still 4 games in the regular season. And Connor, I'll get your thought on this as well. Is the BYU's in the pole position right now, just based on the record, to potentially notch a college football playoff berth? And Austin, BYU won their national championship 40 years ago. And in essentially the 40 years since then, the door has been slammed shut on any chance BYU realistically had of winning a national title. How exciting is it for you as a recruit coming to BYU, knowing that, hey, if you handle your business like BYU has this year, you could, in theory, win a national title as a college football player?
Yeah, I think it's so exciting now with the new format. Every team has a much higher chance of making it in than ever before. And I think that's super exciting. Just if you can win your conference, you get a shot at it. And so I'm very excited to have that opportunity.
Connor, does it excite you, the fact that I know this is your final season at BYU, but that door is open for this program? I know that championship trophy down there is revered and people like to see it all the time, but is it cool to consider that you're part of the kind of that first crew that has that door back open to potentially winning a national title?
Obviously. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really exciting. And just obviously we're not surprised about where we're at. This is what we've been preparing to do since January. And we just have to keep taking it one week at a time, right? We're not thinking about it too much. We're not really focused on it. We're just focused on what the next roadblock is right in front of us, and that's the team up north.
And I want to lob one more at you, Connor, on that front. How wary are you that Utah, being as down as they are right now, they've lost 4 straight, their whole season could be made or broken by you guys and this game?
I mean, everybody in the building knows that records don't matter in this game. Like you've got to go just like every other game and go earn the right to play well. We have to out prepare those guys if we want to win. And obviously they got their backs against the wall right now, and we're going to get their very best shot. And I think for us on our end, we have to be able to take that shot and exceed it and perform better and sustain. And I think that's how we can come out of there with a win, is who can prepare better and who will execute better on Saturday.